Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about creating a leaf on Siteleaves.com. I'm going to go ahead and create a leaf about tarantulas because I happen to like tarantulas, so that's a good enough reason. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create New Leaf here. Now you have an option to add a title. You can leave that title blank if you want, but you absolutely have to have a URL. So I'm going to go ahead and create that URL right now, and I'm going to say tarantulas. Now what that does is you'll notice here that this is the URL that the leaf will be live at. So www.siteleaves.com/ whatever you type your URL to be. So I specifically chose tarantulas. A few things about the URL: you can't have any special characters and or any spaces or anything like that. So the URL has to be kind of a particular format. You can think about it as a single word that sort of represents your site leaf in some way. You can also add a title. I am going to choose to add a title, and I'm going to call this things about tarantulas. And so all the title is the title is very different from the URL. The title is what is displayed at the top of your leaf. So once you have those two things in order, you have enough information to go ahead and create a leaf. And you'll see some things about it. You'll see that you have your leaf title. You'll see that your total views is 0. This is how many people have looked at your website already. We just created this, so it makes sense that we don't have nobody looked at our site yet. Edit leaf. So that's the option for you to create content for your site. The option to delete your site, and then where your site is live. This is the URL you need to give other people so that they can see your site. Well, let's go ahead and edit our leaf so we can add content for people to look at. So here's the editor. We see our title at the top because we added one. We have the option to delete that title or edit it. We have some options on the left here, and one of those options is to create a new component. And that's especially important to us because we don't have any content right now. So let's go ahead and create a new component to add content to our site. So on the left here, we see paragraph box, 2-column box, link box, portrait image, and other options. So these are called site components, and site components you can think of them as stylized sections of your website that can display information in a particular way. So that sounds kind of vague. So let's get into some specifics. So a paragraph box is a bunch of text that goes in the middle of that component. So let's go ahead and create a paragraph box, and let's create some welcoming text to welcome people to our site, right? So I'm going to go ahead and create this paragraph box, and it's going to say hello and welcome. I created this site to celebrate. Okay. So I added content. I could add a title if I want. I'm not going to add a title. So what I'm going to do is when I click add paragraph box, I have just created a component. I've added a component to my site. And this paragraph box is just a bunch of text that goes onto the site, right? If the text were longer, then it would just fill out that text. So great, that's a paragraph box. What about some other components? What are some other ways that I can add content to my site? Well, another way I can add content is an image, and in the modern world, images are really cool. So I clicked on the left here, add an image. I could choose to add a title. I'm going to choose not to. And then I'm going to browse for some images on my local machine. So an image needs to be either a PNG or a JPEG. These tarantulas happen to be JPEGs. So I'm going to go ahead and add one of them. And then once I have that uploaded into the tool, I just click add, and then it should appear right on the site in the editor. So great, there's a tarantula, but we're kind of missing some content, right? We're missing some content for our website. Getting into the specifics of what a tarantula is about. You could go about this a number of ways, but I'm going to choose to add a portrait. Now what a portrait is that's an image and text next to each other, sort of like side by side. So let's go ahead and click add a new portrait and see what that's about. So I could add a title, I could browse for an image, and then I could add some content. So I'm going to actually go ahead and choose to add a title this time. And I'm going to call this section New World Tarantulas. So I'm going to use this portrait component to talk about New World Tarantulas. And I'm going to go ahead and browse for an image of a New World Tarantula. And then in the content section, I'm going to describe what a New World Tarantula is. New World tarantulas are found in the Western Hemisphere, namely North America and South. And the particular thing about New World tarantulas is they have urticating hairs. So they have long hairs they can flick at their predators to irritate them. And I think I put too many R's there. Okay, so there we go. So we have some content about New World tarantulas. And I'm going to go ahead and click Add Portrait and see what just happened, right? So now we have our image and our text, and it's all sort of in one component, right? And so that title that I chose to add a title to, that's all there too. Now, there's New World tarantulas, and there's also Old World tarantulas. So maybe part of this site is to compare and contrast the two. So I'm going to go ahead and make another portrait, and then I'm going to talk about Old World tarantulas. So Old World tarantulas, and I'm going to go ahead and add add an image, and then I'm going to talk about Old World tarantulas. So Old World namely come from Asia and Africa. They are more venomous than and move much faster. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add that portrait. So now there's Old World tarantulas, right? So now we have our sort of like our information, and then we can get a little bit of a better sense of this, right? But it's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard to like see with all these buttons and everything. It's like, well, what does this site actually look like? Does it look like this with all the buttons? No, it does not. If we go to the actual URL, so that's siteleaves.com/tarantulas, we click this reset button here, and we can see what we've created so far, right? And so that's what it looks like. So we got some images, and we've got some content that we've created very, very fast, right? And the cool thing is that we can actually modify this content too, right? Let's say, we change our minds a few days later about what we want our site to look like. Well, we can certainly go ahead and do that. And let's do that right now by adding something called a link box. And what a link box is going to do is sometimes you want to send your users to other sites, right? You want to say, hey, if you want to look further into this, or if you want to maybe buy something, here's a link where you can do that, right? So let's go ahead and if our users are interested in buying crickets, let's go ahead and take them somewhere where they can buy some crickets. So let's go ahead and make the offer. You want to buy crickets, and then in the description here, we can say tarantulas love crickets. If you're interested, buy some from Josh. Now, who's Josh, right? Well, here's Josh's frogs. This is just a cricket vendor. There are many on the internet. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this link here, And I am going to paste that here. And so that's the link's URL. So in the link box, when users click the link, that's the URL that they're going to go to. And the label, let's say, buy crickets from Josh's Frogs, right? And so there you go. Yeah, let's go ahead and add that link box. And there we go. It's right at the bottom. And so if we go to our live site and then we click refresh, we'll notice that that's at the bottom as well. And if we want to buy crickets from Josh's Frogs, then we can go ahead and click that link, and we're at Josh's Frogs, and we can buy some crickets. So lots of things you can do with this tool. You can very, very quickly create content for people pretty much as soon as you want to, and you're not stuck with whatever you end up with. You can constantly modify it. You can constantly change it pretty much whenever you want. So any questions, let me know through the contact form, and have fun and start creating things.